event. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage someone who is a six-time Sunday Times bestselling author. He is a pioneer in more fields than one, but definitely in podcasting. His podcast is the most listened to health podcast in the UK and Europe. Give a huge welcome to Dr. Rangan Chatterjee and
excited to be here. I'm super happy you're here as well. You've been asking me for a while, haven't you?
You've been teasing me for a long time.
Yeah, guys, it's great to be here. I was just telling Tim before we came on that I have a kind of a rule that I never do weekend events barring exceptional circumstances. And the exceptional circumstance actually is this event, and I'm so impressed with what Tim has done and the movement he's helped to create over the last few years. And so, yeah, you've got me to break my usually unbreakable rule, basically. So, well done. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, I think it goes without saying I'm obviously a huge fan, and I love what you stand for, and I love how open-hearted you are in your content, and I love how you dance the line very well in terms of what works, what you've got to be careful sometimes of what you say to make big claims, and I really appreciate how you do that properly, and the integral approach you have, which is why it resonates with your content from day one. So I'm super happy to be having this chat with you today. So, what should we talk about?
It's punchy title, hasn't it? Biohacking medicine. Where we agree, where we disagree.
Yeah.
This is going to be nice to me, actually.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. I mean, who thinks it's going to be fun and provocative, or what do we think?
Okay, so
what do you think that biohacking or longevity, whichever label you prefer, has got right?
Okay, so if I take a step back and I compare what's been going on in the biohacking world, just make this a little bit more like that, so my back's not too guys, okay. So what's been going on in the biohacking world versus what happens in traditional medical consultations, I think there's a stark contrast. So one of the things I think biohacking does incredibly well is that biohacking, to me at least, is about agency and empowerment. Whereas medicine, at least when medicine goes wrong or when it's not practiced as well as it could be practiced, I think is about dependency and disempowerment. So I think biohacking, at its core, it's got this idea that I can do something to improve my health and well-being. I can experiment on myself and find out what works for me, and that also then speaks to another major difference between biohacking and the way we practice medicine. Biohacking at its core is about an N=1 approach, right? It's an individual approach. What is it that's going to work for me? Whereas the way we're trained to practice medicine is absolutely not that. It is based on population data. And I would say modern medicine doesn't really, at its core, recognize that each of us are individuals. Right, so we try and apply blanket protocols to everyone. And that's why I think there's so much frustration from so many people with what they get from the medical profession, is because I don't think we're particularly good at even understanding lifestyle and how it can impact various aspects of health. But it goes back to what I said at the start, Tim. Biohacking is about agency and empowerment. So much of modern medicine is about dependency and disempowerment. I'll give you a prime example, right? Let's take something like type 2 diabetes, which is, of course, very common and growing rapidly in prevalence. So this may sound as though I'm being a little bit extreme here, but this is honestly how many diabetic consultations go down in medicine today. So let's say you have a 10-minute consultation with your doctor, okay? And I accept 10 minutes is not enough, but let's say you do. What will often happen, let's say you're coming in for the first time, you're going to find out you've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. What will often happen is that the doctor will say to you, hey, Mr. Smith, you did these blood tests, I've got some news for you. Your blood sugar is elevated, it's in the range of what we call type 2 diabetes. Now, nothing to worry about, it's very common, but we've got medication for you that we can help you with. We'll start you off with something called metformin. Within a year or two if needed, we'll put you on a sulfonylurea, and a lot of patients ultimately need to go on insulin, but we'll get there in a few years. Don't worry, but we'll be monitoring you throughout, and we'll be adding to your medication as is necessary. And then as the patient leaves and is about to walk out, the doctor might say, oh, if you can lose a bit of weight and go to the gym a bit, it will help as well. Right? That is honestly how so many diabetic consultations go down in the NHS today. There's many reasons for that. Contrast that with an approach which I've always taken, which is, let's say Mr. Smith comes in and you're giving them that diagnosis. If you say, hey Mr. Smith, look, your blood sugar is actually quite high, it's what we would call type 2 diabetes, but did you know that there are various factors in your lifestyle that will have been going on for the last 5 to 10 years that will have contributed to this? Would you like me to help you figure out what those things are so we can address them and see if we can turn this thing around? I bet you, if you ask most patients that, they will say, oh, yeah, doctor, is there something I can do about that? Oh yeah, brilliant, tell me more. And so, I've always had this conflict within medicine, whereby I think modern medicine is very good at certain things, namely acute medicine. I think it's very good at that. But I can say this confidently after, 23 and a half years ago now since I first qualified and started practicing, I just don't think we're very good at chronic disease. And I actually think we make a lot of people worse without actually realising it. So that case study with type 2 diabetes I mentioned, if you don't empower that patient at the start, you made them dependent on us as a system. So look, you have to take this medication and we'll be the ones monitoring you. A very paternalistic approach. What's great about biohacking and the longevity movement, I would say there's many good things about it, but the core aspects of what I love the most is that it's about people taking ownership of their health and saying, actually, there's something I can do. I'm going to do certain things, I'm going to test them, I'm going to see if they work, and if they work, I'm going to continue. It's the polar opposite of how we are trained as doctors to practice.
And I see you're wearing a freestyle glucose monitor. I am the same yourself. And who here wears a health tracker or some description?